as we continue this talk after the short break on Econojet, Let's Talk Business with Mr. Daniel Steinman, the word erratic came on when we spoke before the break in comparison to our economy. I would really like to know what he meant by that.
If you analyze an economy, you do so because you want to design policies to drive this economy. You want to implement certain targets, certain goals. You want to achieve something.
Yes.
To be able to do that, you need to plan. To give you a very, very nice example, if you look at Vision 2030, that was published almost 20 years ago, that created the broad framework against the background against which we designed the national development plans.
Yeah.
So Vision 2030 set out a series of objectives. This is what we want to achieve and this is what we want to be, and if we allow ourselves to dream a little, we would love it if we can achieve these goals. And this is not an assessment of whether Vision 2030 is attainable or not. It is always attainable. The thing is, how successful over what time period are the policies that you implement to achieve that that nice life that we are striving to create. Now this is where the link between erratic weather and the economy comes in. Because you can see from Vision 2030 that it was a long-term document.
Yes.
And the moment you talk long-term policies, you are moving on the macroeconomic side. In other words, you are looking at the dynamic between what a country generates and the potential that it has to generate more. Now, if you stop me just right there and say, whoa, stop. What did you just say? This is a mouthful, what does it mean? I would not be offended because this is one of the key philosophical elements of economics. That whole thing, what is our future target? Where are we headed? Are we making progress? Are we going upwards? Is life better for everybody now than 10 years ago, or are we going backwards? And this is the reason why I say these are philosophical considerations. But I use Vision 2030 as an example of a very long-term view.
Which is a good
and
one.
the national planning, national development plans, they are a breakdown of Vision 2030. Sort of to make the thing bite-sized chunks, so that you can swallow, you can chew on those lofty goals, and you can swallow it, and you can achieve something. Now, if you want to design an economy or design policies for certain economic goals, it means that you have to be able to plan. This is the whole thing about the national development plans, NDP 1 through NDP 5 that we had. But if you don't know what your economy is going to look like next year, let alone 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, how do you plan? And the reason that it is so difficult to plan is because what I said in the beginning, water is the single most important economic element in Namibia. And John Olszewski described our weather as erratic, and he was 100% right. But the impact is an economic impact because it makes it very, very difficult to actually plan the detail of how are we going to do it. It's very easy to state the goals. We want to be this, and we want to have everybody educated, and we want 90% mobile coverage, and we want clinics for every 1,000 people of the population, and that sort of thing. These are the typical economic categories in which you would measure an economy. And it's easy to state them. But if you don't have any guarantees what your economy is going to do next year, how do you plan for them? Do you start seeing the very difficult, the it's a sweet toffee, but unfortunately it's not one that we are chewing, it's one that we stepped on. Now you're trying to get it off your shoe. It's very difficult. And this is why we always, whatever policy we design, if we say we are going to put 5 billion into a dam in the south, then we need to reckon with the practical reality. How long will it take to fill up that dam? And you will always see that our plans are very conservative. So when we built Nekatal, the engineers said, no, or the hydrologist said, 7 years maybe, What happened? It filled up in 10 days. That is the best example of how impossible it is to predict the weather in Namibia.
Yeah, certainly. And on that note, another short break.